Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, The Awakening of Phoenix, from trauma to spirituality. My channel is all about healing, and I'm healing from multiple life-altering trauma that left me not only with a conglomerate of mental illness, but a spiritual awakening and a calling to teach what I've learned. Come join me while I learn different physical, emotional, and spiritual ways and methods to healing. Bless you all.
I know a lot of you watched Stop. Letting Go Can Be Hard, Part 1. And Part 2 came out, and to help ease the process of letting go, my first suggestion was exercise. You're probably like, exercise? What the? Of all the practices, of all the ways to help ease the process of letting go, you may have thought, why not suggest something more natural? like crying, right? Why would you lead us on like that in Part 1 and start off with exercise? Well, I didn't lead you on. There's a reason for this, okay? Exercise can be, especially when we talk trauma and mental illness, exercise can be more effective than crying in ways that you just may not have thought of. I'll explain. And my friends, because what I have to share, this perspective, will add value to your whole self and help with your healing process as well as letting go. And remember, the more perspective you gain, the stronger, the wiser we become. This is one video, Part 3 of a series of videos on the subject of letting go. Please know that these videos are heavily prayed over. And it is no coincidence that you're seeing this. But keep watching. You won't want to miss this. Bless you all.
Phoenix, keep rising.
Now, we're just going to jump right into this. When you experience any type of trauma, it could be loss, right? Loss of a loved one, a parent or a spouse, or even a child. Maybe physical or sexual assault, childhood trauma, and even divorce. Letting go, more than likely, will be hard. All the things trauma does to us, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. All these things add up and can increase the difficulty in the process of letting go. Crying. It's natural. And usually the very first thing that we do after and during trauma. Okay? During the trauma, right? Because crying helps us push through the trauma, the traumatic event. Crying even helps us to release the fears we may experience during the trauma. And that crying, the release, will help us fight if we need to, right? Maybe even fight for our life, right? Crying can help you get through a trauma like sexual assault when you can't fight back. I can speak from experience here. I was taken against my will. I was tied up, hogtied, and totally overpowered. Choice and the ability to fight back was taken away. Crying then, well, it seemed almost involuntary. It was natural, right? And for most people during trauma, it does not take much conscious effort to cry, right? It's mostly a subconscious reaction and response. And we'll talk more on that later. Yeah, so in that position, it was natural for me to cry. And in some instances, my goodness, I was so scared. I couldn't cry. But crying. You have different types of tears that you cry. And for the sake of this video, I will mention 2. 1, continuous tears. 2, emotional tears. Now, continuous tears, they are made of about 98% water. And our emotional tears contains stress hormones and toxins. Now, during and after trauma, crying can help release some of these hormones and toxins, And you know what else? After trauma, crying helps self-soothe. That's right. Crying to help self-soothe and feel better is not just for babies. In fact, long periods of crying releases something called oxytocin, a natural indigenous opioids, hormones and opioids that your body naturally produces on its own. We call them endorphins. And these endorphins can help ease physical and emotional pain. It helps ease pain. So you cry and cry and cry and snot and tears for about 15 to 30 minutes, and you're really getting it out, Well, these endorphins begin to release into your bloodstream, causing a symptom that can be quite addicting. It's what some may call the numb stage. And after all those tears, those endorphins kick in and make you numb. Oxytocin. It is well known for giving a sense of calm or well-being. Its most popular time to show up in the bloodstream is what I call the beautiful trauma of childbirth, right? Childbirth. Because after all that agonizing pain many experience, okay, and sometimes lasting 48 to 72 hours or longer. Ooh, the horror stories, right? And almost immediately after the baby is born, natural or C-section, mom cries, right? She cries. She cries and then is calm and falling in love with baby. The pain is almost instantly forgotten. Even her focus is redirected, right? So, as you can see, just from a few examples, I barely got into it. There's a whole lot more. But as you can see, not just how effective crying could be to help release and ease the process of letting go, but also how important crying is. But that is not what this video is about. It's about how exercise can be more effective than crying. Now get this, okay? Hold on to your cookies. Much like grieving, letting go has a process. And if you're not familiar, the grieving process includes 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And after the loss of a loved one, we experience these 5 stages. And these 5 stages don't come in any specific order either. It's all jacked up, just all over the place. Well, most people don't or might not have considered is that the 5 stages of grief, okay, developed by Elizabeth K. Ross, they just don't apply to just death of a loved one. That's not the only thing that it applies to. You experience these 5 stages during and after divorce, major life changes, miscarriages, job loss, and being diagnosed with a terminal illness and hold on to your cookies. Because I have spoken with quite a few people who exhibited signs of the 5 stages of grief, including myself. When we made the decision and acted on it and begin to take steps towards changing themselves, for the better. And really making that turnaround, Yeah. So they would experience these 5 stages of grief because they were indeed experiencing loss. We'll get more into that perspective later, but I've done quite a bit of research on it. It's the loss of not just, of old habits and ways. It's letting go of the old self. So yeah, with the endorphins, oxytocin, hormones, creating a very addictive release and numbness. These 5 stages of grief that go in no particular order, right? And you can even repeat one stage several times and experience these 5 stages in multiple areas of our lives. Well, my friends, sisters, brothers, it could easily turn into a dangerous game of chance, right? Because you can get caught up, especially when you're not aware of it. You get caught up in a loop and round and round you go, just stuck in the loop of cry, grieve, numbness, cry, numbness, 5 stages of grief, It becomes a cycle, much like a cycle of abuse. Technically, you are abusing yourself. Yeah, essentially that's what it is that we're doing. But now further into this just a little bit. If your trauma has created in you mental illness, depression, right off the top of my head, is the best example that I could think of. Depression can keep you on such a low vibration, right? Crying all the time, tired, really low energy, maybe even achy bones, hair loss. You catch a cold easy, right? That kind of stuff. Depression can keep you on a frequency that will just continue to drain you. Diagnosed with disabling depression, getting stuck in that mindset is just too easy. It's risky because it could feel like forever to climb back out of it. It can cause our depression to accelerate. And what's worse, dangerous loop can cause habitual, negative internal dialogue that can be hard to break, difficult to replace, depending on your situation, your environment, your nature, how you were nurtured. The good thing is you can replace it. You can choose different and replace that negative internal dialogue with positive ones, right? Just like in part 1, the 2 examples that I gave. It works both ways. If you have something smaller to let go of, if you have something bigger to let go of, changing that mindset, breaking that boxed in frame of mind, right, makes all the difference. Such a big difference on how successful you are in letting go. You change your negative internal dialogue to positive, right? You're vibing high. You're in higher vibrations. You're more light, right? Everything is not so heavy. The space in your head where you have most of your thoughts is decluttered. Just a little bit more. And you can get a handle on the tears. So when you're suffering from depression, you're diagnosed with an already disabling disorder like depression. Trying to use crying as self-soothing to help you let go can put you back in that dangerous loop of cry, numbness, 5 stages of grief, habitual negative internal dialogue that makes you cry. Then you get the numbness because of the release of oxytocin, endorphins, 5 stages of grief, habitual negative internal dialogue. I mean, it's going to keep going. So then you might say, okay, Phoenix, that's enough. We get it. Why not meditation as your first choice, right? Right? I'll make this a short explanation and part disclaimer. So, yeah, I know I have an air of confidence, maybe even slight cockiness to some people at times. That cockiness is defensiveness, partly due to what I'm coming out of and Asperger's syndrome. And it's not done on purpose, so I do apologize. And I think it also depends on a person's spiritual maturity, their level of compassion. And just to be clear, only a small percent of people are seasoned enough spiritually, emotionally, to notice that, to be able to see it off the bat like that, right? Really takes a certain level of compassion. So you have to forgive yourself and you have to forgive others. So, yeah, the confidence. Oh my gosh, that confidence comes from my personal relationship with the Most High. And I'm learning I don't have all the answers. And there's such a beauty in being able to let go of not knowing it all. This is a journey of healing, a spiritual awakening. I'm sharing it. I'm not a textbook, you know. Not politically correct. I'm different. And I want to inspire, empower, and motivate others to heal themselves as well with the same confidence that it doesn't have to look like what everyone else says it should look like. Healing or your spiritual journey or even your spiritual awakening. That it's okay to not know and still love yourself without guilt, shame, and openly in the light as if all can see, as if the Lord is actually watching us all the time, for us all to learn from each other, to love yourself and be proud of who you are and where you are now, to have gratitude from where your journey is taking you, is taking you, is teaching you through your choices, bad or good, your experiences, bad or good. So, woo! Another Phoenix moment. Meditation. When you're at the beginning, or even just starting over again, you might not even be able to just meditate for long at all. Maybe 1 to 3 minutes. Maybe not even for that long before losing focus, you know? Maybe not even 1 to 3 minutes. Not even that long before the thoughts and feelings come back rushing in. It takes practice and has a process. You may have serious anxiety and anxiousness during the flashbacks, PTSD, or other mental illnesses or neurological disorders, ASD. I know sometimes closing my eyes brings on flashbacks heavier. All of this builds back up a certain type of anxious energy, a buildup of it. But exercise redirects that energy, releases it and redirects it, and can prepare you and calm you for longer focus and be able to meditate with more ease. 2 types of exercise meditations that I can think of right off the top of my head right now Well, I'll say 3. Yoga, walking, and Tai Chi. Now, for me, I started off with exercise to get rid of that, for lack of a better word, pinned up energy. From the trauma, from being silenced and remaining that way for so long, being made to stay that way. And the exercise has improved my mindfulness and my meditations. The exercise has lessened my anxiety, and it makes my muscles more relaxed, That release, that muscle tension gets released. And after a workout, it's helped with my breathing as well. It's hard to explain. It's almost as if I had to exercise and lose my breath. I had to lose my breath, in order to catch my breath. Do you hear me? Do you feel me on this? I had to lose my breath in order to catch it. Take a deep breath. So, yeah, there are a lot of methods and tools that can help you let go, that help you ease the process of letting go. Exercise is just one of them. And you know now why I started off with exercise first, after prayer. It truly is helping me. And I hope that it will be of great significance towards your progress and process of healing and letting go as well. And I look forward to seeing you all in part 4. Remember to help yourself so that you can help others help themselves. And you know what? It keeps going. You help someone help themselves. You help yourself. You're able to help someone help themselves. They help themselves. And then they help someone else. And it keeps going and going until we all raise to a higher degree of existence. Don't ever give up. You got this.
And remember, it is not just your spirituality that can define your journey. It is your journey that can define your spirituality. Bless you all. Thank you for watching. And join this community by subscribing to this channel. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you won't miss out on what is to come.